Everybody, welcome to the show. Looks like we got Rob and Don and Arturo, Donald, David, Dan, Ivan, Darren, Svenborn, Frank, Gaten, Goose, Chris, Steve. How you doing, Steve? Man, we need to catch up and get that paperwork done. And or virtual paperwork, I guess. Anyway, made it through the week. Maybe we can get a normal week next week. I tell you what. Um, Jobs reports out, and market not liking that too much. I guess we should just go ahead and jump in here, right? While trading involves a substantial risk of loss, past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. That means I predict things, and maybe I get it wrong, maybe I get it right. Sometimes I get lucky. This presentation is intended to be informational, educational, fun, entertaining, not a recommendation to be buying or selling any financial instruments such as stocks, no options, no bonds, no forex, no futures, no cryptos, no treasuries. Don't long them, don't short them, don't trade them. There's a substantial risk of loss involved in all trading, all right? That's the whole thing. I'm not telling you what to do. If you need somebody to give you personal financial advice, you need to hire and consult a financial advisor. I mean, let's be honest. I just point out some stuff. If you want to jump in, cool. It's your decision. All right. It's not my decision. I'm not telling you what to do. I don't know how much money you got. I don't know how much risk you can take. I don't know if trading VIX is smart for you. I don't know. Be careful. All right. You taking a personal interest in your own financial well-being is probably the best choice anybody can make. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of financial advisor you hire. At the end of the day, they're just trying to make some of your money into some of their money some way, somehow. Maybe give you some advice. I mean, maybe great. There's all sorts of people. As I talked about, my mom hired a financial advisor and he got her in a Ponzi, lost, 6 figures, big 6 figures. And he never went to jail. I digress. I made the money back for her. Anyway, all right. Look at the jobs report here today. Well, non-farm jobs, 256K. That seems really high. Wow. Right there. Really high. That's interestingly high. Let's see what the chart shows. Yeah. We were expecting a little bit of a dip, and we got a nice big fat pop. So I guess that's good. Unemployment rate down. But is that supportive of more rate cuts or not? I mean, you tell me. Average hourly earnings coming in, same. We're getting these consumer sentiment and inflation numbers from University of Michigan coming out here at 10 o'clock after the market opens. That'll be just a little while. Inflation numbers from earlier in the week caused the market to drop, supposedly. So we'll see what that... I don't think the numbers matter. I mean, the grand scheme of things, we're already on the way to the daily roadmap line. And we'll look at that here in just 1 second. That's kind of the end of the day, right? We're already on the path to go do that. And we're probably going to do that before we can go higher. We may do it as fast as the inauguration coming up. It may last through inauguration week. So that's coming up right here on the 20th. Right there. So we've got next week, regular week, week after that, MLK Day, Inauguration Day, all coming in on the 20th. So another holiday week. And this week, this month is just rife for this stuff, right? Get another normal week to wrap up the month. And next week is OPEX too. So even though it's a normal week, it's an OPEX, monthly OPEX week, first big one of the year. Golly. Shaping up to be a rough trading start to 2025. Feel sorry for anybody that lost a house or has to deal with anything in LA. Pretty horrible stuff. It just looks like miles of land just cleared to the ocean. I mean, I was watching some of the videos last night. Just amazing stuff. Malibu just roasted, gone. And the guest on Jimmy Fallon last night, he was like, yeah, so my house burned down yesterday. It was Pete Lee, a comedian, and he was making jokes about it. But he's like, people are gonna be like, too soon, bro. He's like, what's too soon if your own house burned down? Like, I can joke about it if I want to. So, I'm not trying to joke about it, but it just wild, devastating, wild. Anyway, the winds get right. I mean, that happened here in Knoxville, not too awful long ago. Well, it was Gatlinburg. You can look up the Gatlinburg fire, and same sort of situation. The winds were just right, ripping, just the right kind of thing. Started in the right place and gets out of control very, very quickly, and it's pretty devastating. I helped rebuild quite a bit of that over the years, and it'll take a long time to rebuild that many houses. There's no quick fix to 2,000 structures getting replaced. There's no quick fix at all. So anyway, moving back over, look at the ES. Could that have impacts on housing and insurance and stuff like that? Absolutely, absolutely. It'll be a big loss, probably for a number of insurance. A lot of very expensive properties were affected. So ES kind of said yesterday, we checked in on this. We were respecting the 15-minute roadmap line, still respecting that overnight. And then we get the dip on the jobs reports. Not far left, down to the target zone. Jumping back up to the daily. Zoomer up, Buttercup. You can see that dip would put us right down if we finish this up. Not a lot to go. Just need a few more. One big one or a few more. This bar right here is the same size as we got on FOMC day, just back in December. A few days back, right over here. This candle right here. That's that bar right there. That's how big it was. It wouldn't take but one of those to get there at this point. I think it's, while nothing's guaranteed in the market, I think we're going down here. Somewhere in the vicinity down here in the next week and a half or whatever you want to say. We've got this is the day after inauguration right here. Since inauguration day is closed, it won't let me pick that day on this chart. So we've got that little section right there. We're likely to come down in here. That's what I think is going to happen. Now, I also think we're going to find support in this vicinity. Somewhere in here, I think we'll find support. And we'll set up a bounce probably after inauguration at this point. Could start before. I have a knack for kind of rewind back to around election time. I kind of speculated that we would pop after the election and then get a dip into beginning of the year. Well, guess what? For those that didn't think I would be right on this, there we go. There we go. I mean, that's why you guys tune in. That's what, stay subscribed. If you're wondering how to chat with me while I'm live, just be a subscriber on the channel. Click the button, I guess it's on the other side over there. Put me over here. Click the button right here. Be a subscriber on the channel. And, if you like what I do and want to support me further, be a channel member. Give you a little extra content and stuff. I haven't been, through Christmas time there. I didn't have as much stuff to post, but when it's not freaking negative whatever outside. I mean, let's see. This morning, right now, 28 degrees. That's just too cold for me. I'm not a cold person. That's why I'm in a hoodie. I just not a fan of the cold. I'll get back on projects and posting stuff soon. I mean, my solar project going along nicely. Had the biggest day of production ever yesterday. Even though it was, we're still in the shortest period of the year. It's kind of crazy. But today, not expecting a lot of solar with the winter storm coming in. So, anyway. Awesome. So that's probably coming down here. Dun, dun, dun. This one probably coming down right here. Now we're right at the, we could, it's possible. It's possible we're just retesting this breakout level one more time on NQ. Possible. So this is a, this is still the line in the sand for NQ. And in fact, I'm going to put an alert right on it. If we get below that line, where does that come from? It comes from this high right back here. If we get below that high, there's a very high chance, like probably 90% chance, if we get below that, that we're going to tag that roadmap line. That's not a ton of points, but very, I feel like it's very high probability. And you wonder what NQ is. It's basically the futures for QQQ. So looking at QQQ, kind of trying to relate this a little bit. We're going off of this high back here. If we get below that level right there, that 503.35, very likely we're coming right down here in this vicinity right there. Very likely. That's just kind of been doing this a long time, seen a lot of price action. I watch this every day. If we get below that level, probably going right down here. So could you make some money on that? You could. What's the time frame on that? I think before inauguration, but it could last longer than that. I mean, it could take us through the end of the month. It's possible. So we could, NQ could, or, you know, QQQ, NASDAQ could hold that level. That might hold. Interesting. That is a very solid level right there. You see how we poked up through it and then got away from it, retested. This will be the third retest. It could hold there and then launch off. So, but if we get below that, it's probably like, I'm going to say 90% chance we go down to there. If we get below that. Now, that has to be like a daily close, all right? That's not like 5 minutes we're dipped in and then we're shooting off like this. That can happen too. We could poke below it. A poke, yeah, that's, I always have, you know, people are like, oh, we're below the level you said. But when we bottom, we tend to get a little over enthusiastic, like this right here. That's a poke. All right, this is, and then you can see that that's not a sustained move in my book. Sustained moves look more like down, close near the bottom, bounce a little bit, close near the bottom. This is, you know, more red candles, bounce a little bit, more red, closing near the bottom, closing near the bottom. When we get these big tails, that's a sign that we're about to reverse. It's a sign. It's not a guarantee. It's always the pros and cons list. But you'll see that, you know, didn't break it there. You see that one? That's like time for caution. Then we got a green candle and a green candle and a green candle. Well, that's not gonna, that wasn't a sustained break. We'd have to go all the way back over here probably to look at what a sustained break looks like. See, this one was interesting right here. Back in 22, we dipped down to it. It faked me out right there. I thought that was just a bounce and we were going higher. Yeah, Goose and I were kind of chasing this back in 22. And then we started getting through it with closes at the lows. That's more of a sustained break. This looked like we were going to reverse again. Fooled me. We bounced off the roadmap line from below. And then we went lower. Got another bounce. That looked like we were going to break out and go. And then failed again. And that's how 2022 kept just not presenting awesome opportunities to the downside. Like they didn't price any downside opportunity in. It was hard to make money on the downside. It just was a slow bleed out in 2022. And I hope we don't get that kind of correction again right now. So watch out. That's the bottom line. What's the bottom line? Watch out. So a poke below that can just be a reversal. Sustain move, which hard to determine what a sustain move is. It's going to go right down here. I think at this point, we get the daily close below that line, we're probably going to tag it. That's probably what's going to happen. Russell looks like we're probably coming down to this 2100 area. Probably going to extend that right down in here. Oil. Oh, looky here. Looky here. Looky here. That's a resistance zone. We get above that, we're probably coming on up to 90. Probably go on up to that 90 area, on up here. Maybe even as high as 105. It's really, I got my eye on this one. Like I'll probably add more position if we get above that level right there. Because trading from 78 to 90, pretty good. And if we get to possibly get up to 105, that'd be really nice. Be a really nice move on oil. So I can do that very easily. It's been winding this up for a long time. Now look at this. Look at this wind up. There's a lot of pent up price action demand on oil. We could rip right up there, right up to that 105 area pretty quickly. Yep. I saw an interesting thing on the whole renaming the Gulf of Mexico thing, that the reason Trump's saying that is because the executive orders that were written specified the Gulf of Mexico. And if you rename the Gulf of Mexico, then you do away with that. I mean, that to me, that seemed like a far-flung stretch, but maybe that's something, right? Maybe, I don't know. It seemed like tongue in cheek. Like that just seemed funny to me. I had to point it out. So. All right. Gold Rush just popping off a win. Looks like David A. Awesome. Awesome. We're back up to that resistance. Downtrend to highs. If we can break on through, gold can go on a bigger run. Right there. Watch for that right there. Gold Rush booking a win this morning. Awesome to hear. Maybe we can get the breakout and some continuation. Some other. Now, Bitcoin, yesterday I went through this quite a bit. That right there, I mean, whew, gosh. That was technically a lower low. Technically met the criteria that could be done. Poked below this low over here. I don't know. This still looks like it's going to go right down here. Now, what would I expect right now? We have that initial move down right here. That's not really a great framing. There we go. Much better framing. So we're turning down off that 30-minute roadmap line right here. This is just on Bitcoin futures. Why not Bitcoin spot? We can look at it, but just looking at futures for a moment. That right there, resistance. This level right here, right now, that's resistance. This doesn't look like we're done on this move to the downside yet. Now, a lot of people say, why? Why Bitcoin? You tell me. Bitcoin doesn't have earnings. It's not a company. It's almost the purest of sentiment plays in the market. There's big, golly, got some sludge going this morning. Bitcoin spot. Here you go. We've got this high. We've got this low. We've got the resistance right now hanging out right here. Turn down at the 30-minute. I still think it's set up to go down to the daily roadmap line. Despite this bounce, we may even get a 1, 2, 3 that comes up right here. Don't get faked out. We're still set up for that final flush. And if this is a wave 1 of C, this is the 2 of C, the 3 of C is probably going to be vicious. Vicious. That's what I would say. It's probably going to be an oh my gosh, and we may go a little deeper than now. Let me point out something. I'm not saying this is happening, or this is the operative, but it's one of those things you got to be careful about. We had that line pretty solid across here, right? Is it here? Is it here? I'm not sure. Shoulder, head, shoulder. That's pretty darn clear. That's a pretty good reversal. Now, this could just be an ABC. That would put us right down in here. Pretty nice. But if we were to do the classic head and shoulders pattern, we could see something a little more sinister. All the way down to this level. Still in the vicinity right there. I said, 70 to 80,000. Low 80s, maybe even as low as 78. That could stretch it just a little bit lower. So if we get a pop, this is very important. If we pop up, bounce off of that, very quickly we could do this, get a little bounce, and then final flush. Right there. Am I saying this is the level? No. Am I probably going to buy right here? Yeah, I'll probably buy leverage here. I'll probably sit through that. Just knowing me, I'll get sucked in on that bounce, even though I know it's because this could be it. Like that bounce could be it, and we never look back. This just looks like the high likely thing. That'd be a 1, a 2, a 3 right here, a 4 here, and a 5 right there. And that's 5 of C on the correction. This would be the A. That was the B. And this would be the C right down here. That's what I think's happening. So there you go. Be careful. Now, could this be it? Yeah, absolutely. It can always be it. Like this, since I've seen this posted a few places, that head and shoulders can fail, and we can just go ripping off right there. How do you know? We get back above that 98,000 level right there. Back above it, then back above 105. Probably going higher. All right. Kind of your long and short warning areas. We get back above 105. It's probably game on for going all the way up to 150, 170 area. So that's the long and the short of it right now on Bitcoin. Ethereum, that looks best with a flush. We got it's almost a foregone conclusion. We're going to get a lower low than we got right back here. That just, if it doesn't do it, I don't know. That just needs to do that. If we can hold that area right around that 28, maybe down to 27 or 26, that whole area right in there. If we can hold it, come back up through, beautiful. Probably going long. Probably going higher high. Maybe even new all-time high. If we break down through this zone right in here, we start getting below that, this might be going down to 600. So be careful. That would suck. Dollar still testing the area. We can go as high as my line right up here, around 110.90, 111 on the dollar. Don't really expect it. If we get above that, something else is going on. I'll have to reevaluate what I think's going on. But that's starting to look a lot like a impulsive move. We're gonna wrap this up and then continuation of trend. That was a big A. This is a big B wave, and this is looking somewhat impulsively like a C wave. Top that out right there. Then get the next move down. And that was A, a B, a C, an A, a B, C. Yeah. Yep. So we're on the fib line one more different way. That way. Yeah, we're right in the reversal zone for this to be done on the dollar. So watch for that strong dollar rhetoric to go away as we plummet down to the mid-90s probably. That's probably the next stop. NKD. At this point, I kind of expect this to return back down, at least retest the roadmap line one more time. I mean, gosh, look at that. Been down here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be the 6th time. If we bust below it, break out the bottom, we're probably coming back down here. That's something to keep an eye on too. What could take us down in a more violent way, get below the daily roadmap line? This breaking down, making a lower low. This could come down here. It can even come down here. It'd be pretty violent liquidation through the stock market. All the stock market. All right. Let's see. Was this the right list? No, it's not the right list. Let's reload. There we go. That looks like the right list. All right, I go pull all the pre-market movers. Everything moving up $2 or more in the pre-market, down $2 or more in the pre-market. We look at it for opportunities, things that might be interesting to pay attention to. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Right to the target on CEG. That one's done. Like, I don't expect any more upside. Could it do more upside? Sure. 310, 343. But that was it. Like, that fired off an entry right back there. Got a little scary pullback, and then boom, right up to the target. Golly. Can't make this stuff up. Can't make this stuff up. Beautiful. Beautiful. ARGX. That's pushing beyond targets. Maybe up to 752. Be careful. That's pharmaceutical stuff. APD. Potential bounce here. Nice potential bounce. Air products and chemicals. Is that, let's see if that's the right air gauges in the manufacturing distribution of atmospheric gases. Yeah. All right. Air products. And they produce a lot of like welding gas and stuff like that. I guess soda machine gas, CO2, argon. Anyway, there's the targets. If we get above that conservative entry point right there, could you buy now? You could. Be a gamble. We might continue lower and drop on down. That's possible. Super aggressive entry. And how could you find an even more aggressive entry? Use my VVD indicator if you got it. Oil. Tagging the roadmap line one more time. That's ultra leveraged natural gas. Going over looking at natural gas really quickly. Excuse me. Back up, lower high. That would be normal and expected on the correction. We're right in the zone where we might get a next leg down. Right there. Very similar to the way I was talking about Bitcoin. That's already doing the retrace. Next leg down. Take us on down. Now, it could just be a 3-wave retrace and we not get the big continuation. Could just stop right in this zone. Could be just a B, and a C. Take us right down in here. UAL. Look at that. Right up almost to the target on the breakout. That was a wave, potential B wave, and this would be a C wave right up to that level. If we get above it, we're doing something else. That's the watermelon seed squeeze pop out potential right there. Maybe somebody took it. I didn't, because that's so unreliable. But when they work beautifully. Right up to that level. What am I talking about? It's like the mouth of this thing right here, that height right there. When we do these like consolidations like this, I call it a watermelon seed squeeze. You never know if it's going to break up or break down. Just like squeezing a watermelon seed, if you've ever done that, you never know exactly where it's going to go. If you do, well, you're really good at shooting watermelon seeds. But that usually it go like whatever the height of the beginning is. When we pop out, we usually go that distance, and that would be right up here around right where we are. So don't expect a lot more than that. I don't. Now, you might be like, UAL, they're nailing it, baby. Crushing it. But I'd be careful. TLN, Talon Energy. Probably coming back to the roadmap line would be my guess. We haven't been down there since back in August. Delta Airlines, getting a nice pop. How's Goose's airline doing? That's a long-term bearish chart. This may go down from here. Watch for that resistance and a turn down. Yang is 3x bear on China. May come back up to the roadmap line. May. Probably going to keep declining, though, because this is a declining asset. Long term, it's going to keep going down. The bullish instrument that's opposite this is Yang, and that looks pretty bad. It's below the roadmap line, and looks like it's going down, too. So it's kind of funny when your bullish and your bearish instruments are both have a bearish chart. Be careful on Yen and Yang. I wouldn't trade them. USO, break it out. Look at that. We can get above these highs. Go on cruising. Targets right up here, like 88, 86, 88 on USO. My favorite way to play oil is with the leverage ETF. UCO. I have some long-term 2026 $40 calls hanging out here. If we get that bigger pop, this thing potentially rock and roll 70, 80, 100. $40 calls might pay out pretty big right there. Alrighty, back to USO. ALK, Alaska Air Group. Yeah, it looks like they're popping. This looks like a 3-wave corrective type move, though. Be cautious. That move, that move, that move. We may be able to rally right up into this area and find resistance and turn down. So watch out right there if this pops on up. There's no whys or hows or, it doesn't matter. That'd be back to the all-time high. That just looks like a 3-wave up. Now, it could get bullish and go even higher. Could. That's a weekly chart, so we're going to have to look at something bigger here. Could that be a monthly bounce? Absolutely. Could take us on up here. 129, 159, 280. Could get super spicy. Retrace and go even higher. Possible. Does it look very likely at the moment? No, I'd gun for that all-time high and then be very, very careful, expecting the extra $30, maybe $60 on the upside. STNG. Jump back down to the daily. That's under the roadmap line. Downtrend, baby. Watch out. Until we can break above that 61 area, this still has the setup for going lower. Still has the setup for going lower. So major resistance right there. And can still go lower. Now, if we start breaking above that, breaking above this prior high, we could talk about going higher, but it's got a lot of things to work through here. Could be heading up to, 91, 99, 100 area, but till that works out, still looking lower. GNRC, Generac, and that looks like that might go lower. I guess fires aren't as bullish as hurricanes. Hurricanes bullish. Hurricane season over. Probably get a correction. And we saw the correction over here before the end of the year. Hurricane season over. Sales decline. You see that before we can pop again. PENG. Penguin Solutions. Nope, not for me. Sideways chop for years now, and I would not bet it's breaking out of that box. I would kind of think we're still going sideways. INSW. It reminds me of like not safe for work. And resistance right at the roadmap line. Be careful there. Didn't make it up to the targets. Failed. Doing a bigger retrace here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That may be heading down to this. If we can get into this area, we could set up a measured bounce. That could set up a bigger picture, bigger, longer term bounce here that goes on up to this area right here. But we have to get down to here before we can do that. Chevron. Interesting. If that breaks out, we have a nice potential setup. I clicked on the wrong thing. Wrong thing. There's the upside potential right there on Chevron if we get above that downtrend highs. And then we'll have to clear that. And then there's the target area, possibly as high as up there around 190. EOG. Still kind of in the box. Significant resistance right up there. Look at that. I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Didn't even get there. 6 attempts to get above that over the last 2 years, 3 years almost. If we can get above it, it could rip, but that's a heck of a wind up, and we may see that return to the bottom of the box down here before we can get the strength to go higher. VX6 getting a little pop on the market flush. UVXY, let's check in on that one. Still gunning for. I'm still thinking this flush out in the market could take this right up to the roadmap line. Beautiful. VST, probably still wanting to come back down to the roadmap line. Boot Barn. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful setup to come up to this 176, 182, maybe even as high as 200. Really nice. I traded this back, back in here. Now it's got a nice setup to extend on up higher. OCS. There's nothing there. Oculus hold. Uh-oh. My internet dropped out for a second. Hopefully I'm back. VLO potential. Come on down here. There is significant resistance. That's Valero. That's a U.S. refiner. significant resistance right there. Not nearly as bullish a potential as Chevron at the moment. It just looks like it needs to go deeper. Potentially down to this zone. Non-log scale, 618 retrace. Before we can get turning and burning here. UCO, like I said, if we can break on up, get above this 618 zone right there. Similar to CL, main crude. We can see this pop right up in here. That's 618 is not the same as the 618 on crude. This has a whole different chart going. And this is kind of a declining asset, so this would just be a shorter term play in that move. So be careful. This does split and reverse split. So be careful. NTES. Stuck between a downtrend and a roadmap line. That may pop up here, and then we'll see. We'll see. I think this looks best with one more little flush down lower low than these two lows, but it could pop out, break out above that downtrend of highs that's been in place for almost, gosh, what? At least a whole year. Break out above that, and then we could pop up here. So, decliners, FNGU. These are things that were moving down $2 or more pre-market, and looks like FNGU still going down. 3-wave retrace, and this may come down to the roadmap line. We get the bigger flush in the market. That can come right on down here. That's the target area. I thought we might find support, and it could come on down here. MCY. Wow, that Mercury. I guess insurance losses. Surprise. That may get a bigger flush right there. Although 40 would be ideal. You can bounce. Dip just a little bit more and bounce. That can take it higher than this high right here pretty easily. All right, CB. Chubb. Looks like we're going to get a bigger retrace off of that. That's probably played out for now. We're probably going to get a bigger retrace on Chubb. Another casualty insurance. Name of the game. Could see that retrace back down in here. 220. App. Package software. Probably come back to the roadmap line. Allstate. Back to the roadmap line. If we can hold there, we could go higher again on Allstate. Break above 200. Could see 215, 219. STZ. Constellation Brands. Wow. Ouch. That may need a retrace back to this 150 area right in here to wrap this up. That'd be a measured bounce, and we could go epically higher from there. Travelers Insurance, back down to the roadmap line. Insurance, insurance, insurance. There's the high, potential low. If we can bounce there, 255, looking for 274, 279. GS, potential to come back to the roadmap line. Earnings for financials are coming up next week. So be careful. Money looks like money's already rotated in and maybe taking a breather. Coin. Come on, just finish this up. Finish the correction on Bitcoin. Finish this up. Let's get the heck done. Let's get out of here. I'm sick of this Bitcoin correction. So flush it out. Let's go. Meta. Dun, 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 dun. That needs to come back to the roadmap line. Yeah. DPST. We're pushing below the roadmap line. Be careful. This can go on a little deeper move here. That's kind of a choppy up. Very overlapping move up. This is leverage, so leverage stuff doesn't always follow the patterns. Be careful, but this could flush up back on down right in here. Getting some of that. Is it 10 o'clock? Yeah, 10 o'clock numbers. Let's go check on that really. Pause. Go check on the numbers. So I guess 73, expected 74, and 3.3. A little bit spicier on the inflation. 3.3 is up here. Probably making them. Yeah, look at this. Come on, baby. We can get there today. I mean, it's possible. I talked about it maybe on the minutes. Came out Wednesday. Didn't do it. Just, Apollo shrugged. The market shrugged. Now we could do it today. Be careful. And it could take a few more days of just crap. So, back to the list. DPST. And that may, like I said, may go lower. GEV, GE Veranova. This is incredibly difficult to, there's no roadmap line even drawing. So, I think we have a little blip right here now. But there's just nothing to really predict off of this. It's probably going to retrace the roadmap line. When? I don't know. Could go higher before we do that. MSTR. I kind of expect this to flush down to the roadmap line. If Bitcoin takes a dive, this may hit right there. This roadmap line keep coming up. So when and where does it meet? Somewhere over here. Flutter at big loss on. Imagine that sports teams that were expected to win for the first time in 20 years in NFL history, whatever. And they get a $350 million loss because people bet on the favorite teams. And that's probably coming back to the roadmap line. PTIR. Watch. I'm telling you, I don't care who's hyping PLTR. Watch out for this retrace right here. QQQ, we already talked about. We get below that level, 90% chance we're coming on down here. NVDU. Be very, very careful. I don't care what NVIDIA announced at CES this week. That's a breakdown on their leveraged. This is a leveraged NVIDIA. This broke down below that uptrend of lows. Back tested right there. Moving back lower. We get below that. We're probably going to flush much bigger and faster. Sometimes you can see. Sometimes the tea leaves show you better on the leverage chart. Be careful. Leverage doesn't always, leverage charts are not always the way to trade, but and there's significant risk when you leverage. Leverage cuts both ways. If you're long, you can cut bigger and faster on the short, so be careful. Same with PTIR. Be careful. Same on NVDU. Same on NVDL. Same on all the leveraged NVIDIA stocks. SPXL, be careful on this one too. Look at that. We're almost about to hit. Probably push this a little lower if we actually get down there. This sets up another potential bounce when we get above the 618 for another expansion when we do it. Carvana, already testing the roadmap line here. Get above that, we can go higher. But if this starts breaking down, we can come all the way back down. I did buy a put. I don't remember what strike. I bought like a $60 put out as far as I could, like 2027. I think. I think I bought that. And maybe it's 90. I don't know. I paid. I did pay a significant chunk for it. So. I might have bought 100. I may have bought 100 right there. Might have bought that $2,000. Yeah, well, I just bought one, and it's like $90 down. So, but this thing can implode and go back to almost zero. So be careful. volatility curve for 28 days. You can see there's definitely volatility priced into dropping. Yeah, I went all the way out 2 years out, so lower volatility priced in there, but shoosh. Be careful on Carvana. Cold. And dipping back to a new low. That's the... Be careful. This will probably come back to the roadmap line eventually. But how long that takes, can't say for sure. FAS, yeah. Looks like the rotation into financials playing out. That's coming back to the roadmap line. This may be indicative that we're going to see a bounce off of financial earnings, but can't say for sure. If that holds, we go higher. If it breaks down, we could do a bigger retrace. Maybe like, well, that was obvious. I'm just, hey, sometimes you got to state the obvious. CRM, looks like that finally played out there, and we're retracing back to the roadmap line right in here. Watch for that to hit that area, find support, and turn higher again for the next move. And we're still game on for going higher up into this area. It did a big measured bounce right here. Back to the roadmap line. Would set this up to potentially come up in this zone. Right there. And that could be a pretty substantial, like going from 300 up to 400. I mean, that's a 33% gain on shares if you were so bold as to jump into it. I should have jumped into it when I said it was going to do that all the way back here at like almost 200, but live and learn, I guess. You can't play them all. I mean, that's the whole bottom. Like, you got to pick your favorite. What's your favorite setup out of all this? Got to pick your favorite. I can't trade them all. I don't have unlimited funds to just throw at all this stuff. CRWD, probably coming back to the roadmap line. LABU, probably coming back down. AVGO, that looks like it needs to finish up coming back down. At least to 204, if not all the way to the roadmap line. And, you know, this back down may last until this comes up here, and it could be out here before it bottoms out around 200. AXP, that looks like it. Like all these credit cards look like they're potentially coming back down. Interestingly, credit card debt dropped the biggest amount since the last time we had a recession in the last 30 days. The last monthly update for credit card debt, revolving debt. So people using credit cards like paid off a massive amount of debt in the last 30-day update. So MasterCard dropping, Visa dropping, AXP dropping, DFS dropping. They're all probably come back to the roadmap line. Capital One probably come back to the roadmap line. So yeah, all the credit cards probably coming back to the roadmap line. Tesla. Got below that 618 level. So be cautious here. On that drop Wednesday, or I guess that was Tuesday, the drop, I wasn't liking it, so I kind of liquidated off some of my leverage. This looks like we might push down for another extension here. Right down in there. This may drop into earnings, possibly. We could be soft into earnings. Earnings coming up out here. And maybe it's just victim of the NASDAQ pulling back. And when NASDAQ bottoms, we could launch. So somewhere in here, I'll get back in the pool. IGMS. Ooh. Another biotech. Be careful. I just wouldn't play this. I wouldn't play it at all. ARM. Little bounce, but that's a lower high. Watch for the bigger flush. We're probably coming back down. Like I've drawn these boxes multiple times, talked about it for a long time. We are highly likely they flush down here eventually. Excuse me. IWM, that's probably pushing on down. 210. 210 to 212 area. At this point, that might go even deeper. I mean, I booked the profit when we dropped to the roadmap line. But this could come on down to 199. That could push it all the way down here. Eventually, this is probably going down to 130 to 140 area. But not today. TECL. That's pushing below the roadmap line. This might be set up for a bigger drop down in here. This could go fast. Be careful. 84 to 45. That's a 50% haircut. Be careful. FSLR. That would look best if we could just drop right down in here to this 150 area. AGLS. I got a bunch of decliners. I've got to hustle a little bit here. AGLS, just sitting here, chopping. Pharmaceutical biotech. NVDL, like I said, be careful. This doesn't have quite the bearish chart that NVDU has, but if we get below this line here, below the roadmap line, this is very easily could go on a deeper drop. Now, NVIDIA made a higher high here and tied that high here, and this chart did not do that. So be careful. This is not playing right along with NVIDIA. SMH. Ooh, rejection right below the target. Man, what a bummer. This looks like it may fail and go lower. Down, lower lows. Oh, man. Be careful. Be careful. That could be setting up for a drop right down in here. DEO, Diego needs that lower low. Clear this up. We bounced off the roadmap line. Lower low put us down around 115, 116. SOXX. Yeah. I was warning that the SOXX and SOXL made me very cautious about that SMH chart. This looks like it wants to flush pretty hard. I have to flip back to the log chart because 14 could be where SOXX is, or SOXL is going. Go from 27 to 14 down in there. NVIDIA, watch for that. Watch for support at the roadmap line. And if we hold it, we could bounce again. Yeah, if we fold it, probably coming down here. If not, getting something even further down. Why am I not a NVIDIA fanboy? Because, well, this chart is cooked. This chart is way overcooked. It did way more upside than it, maybe should have. It's due for a big retrace back to the breakout. Maybe like, no way it's dropping 100 points. Okay, we'll see. I got time. I got 2 years of time on my 120 strike put. We'll see what happens. Reddit. Watch out for that retrace. It's probably going to happen eventually. Back to the roadmap line at the minimum, if not a little deeper. Back to the breakout. And was that low the lowest low we need after the IPO? I'm not sure. 95% of stuff, 99% of stuff, I don't know. I think it's 95% of stuff tends to make a lower low after IPO. Now, is it this one or is it going to be one over here? I'm not sure. It's probably going to retrace back to that breakout though. You see how we have resistance, 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 and then pop. It's probably going to come back and test that. AMD. Oh, we got to the 115. We finally hit the target. Now, this could push on down to 85. We finally hit the minimum target. I was looking for 115. Golly, I'd be dang. Sometimes I get lucky. This was a 2 year in the making call right there. Watch, man. Freak myself out sometimes. Dang. Well, now we can start hunting for an entry. It met the minimum number I needed right there. I kind of expect this to dip a little further. You know, this 95 area would be ideal, as low as 85. I'd love to see that 95, that ideal price. I'm going to set alerts now. I'm going to set some alerts. I may start buying below, you know, in this $100 area. Get another $15 down. Why do I like this so much? Check this out. Check this out. Check this out. So we did this big retrace. That's the 618 level right there at 95. This sets up a potential measured bounce. Like I'm not just bearish on AMD, but it sets up this potential. That's a 5x potential from 100. Epic potential play right there. Be a 3x just to that low target. Almost 4x. I'm looking to add a very long-term position if this can come down to that 95, 100 area. Hold and start turning it up. This is where I'm at. These kind of plays are where I make the big money, and I wait for them for a long time. These kind of plays, so waiting for that. A-Lab. Probably coming back down. XLK, back to the roadmap line. Marvell, probably kind of come back to the roadmap line. DYN. Biotech, nasty. Choppy sideways, could come back down to 12. It's not super far down. Applied Materials, back down to 144. Roku. Be careful, that looks like we're stuck at a resistance, and we can do a third leg down that can take us down into possibly the $40 area. APLS, just doing nothing. TQQQ, let's probably get a large flush down to the roadmap line. If we can bounce here, sets up another potential high probability trade up to 96, 100 area. We're going to have to find supports and bounce, clear that, and get that move right there. SC, C's limited, probably come back to the roadmap line, would be my guess. PANW, look for that to go down to 150 area. USD, Ultra Semiconductors, that may flush on down here. VRT, flush back to the roadmap line. URTY, ooh, that's nasty. Be careful. That played out beautifully, and this is probably going to go deeper. That's a very choppy chart. This is leveraged Russell, and very easily come down to 37 there. ROST, Ross Stores, that's looks like it wants to come back to 136 areas, just chopping in this range. AIG, another insurance, getting whacked. First move down, retrace, next move down. Probably find support somewhere right in this zone before we turn higher again. AVDL, wow. That's why you got to watch out when they break down below the uptrend of lows. Ouch. That's pharmaceutical, not touching it. UPRO, Ultra, this is leveraged. Leveraged Pro, S&P 500. Back to the roadmap line, just like SPXL. May go a little lower, may come down in here. I've already drew an arrow that I was expecting it to pop down in here. Come down in there, find supports, then we can go long for the inevitable higher high. JPM, probably coming back down to the roadmap line. QLD, probably coming back down to the roadmap line. That's instead of TQQQ, that's an Ultra QQQ, QLD, same kind of thing as TQQQ. COHR, Back to the roadmap line. Looking for the bounce there. That high, that low. Back above the 102 area. Could look for 120 area up there. XXII. 22nd century group. Well, that's a dumpster fire chart right there. Reverse split. Just don't touch it. Dumpster fire, baby. Well, thanks for those that are still hanging out. Almost through the list here. QQQM. Probably coming back down to the roadmap line. TTD. Back down to the roadmap line. That high, that low potential. Back above that 120, we'd look for 148. Oh, 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 uh-oh. Uh-oh. Maybe we do it in one day. What do y'all think? That's a new low. Ooh. Dang. Wow. Dang. Hey, hopefully everybody's prepared for this. Hopefully. QCOM has not been able to break out yet. Dang, come on. I want to see that breakout. TNA. 3x leverage on bull. Getting a bigger flush today. That hadn't really been doing anything, so that's a kind of a nasty chart. UDOW. We can wrap it up today, Wrongamer. Be careful. We might make a new low early next week, but be careful. We can wrap this baby up and turn and burn it. If we get a large flush, just let me circle back up here. If this flushes this out today, we could wrap this up. Like this could spike. We could get a 150, 200 point reversal off the low in the day right there. And then go ripping next week. It really depends on how this wraps up. Now, if we close at the lows, this pushes down, we close here. It's like a 95% chance we're going to make a lower low Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll probably make a lower low next week. If we get a large, big spike, just a finger, and then the body closes up here somewhere, we can go higher next week. Be careful. Really depends on if we get a big spike, tail, or if we just push down, and close near the lows. Kind of depends on how that price action plays out toward the end of the day. UDOW. Yeah, it's going lower. Dow looks nasty. I don't usually look at Dow. Look at that. It's already back to the roadmap line. When spitting distance right there. Shopify. Probably coming back down to the breakout. Retest the roadmap line. Those things come together right there. That can set up a power move higher, possibly to all-time highs. Oracle, back down to the roadmap line. I think I said that was coming a couple days ago. Break back above that. Got the gap fill thing. Ugh, nasty. It left that gap fill right there. We're going to have to do to go higher. D-Dog, back to the roadmap line. Lemonade, back to the roadmap line. Would be my expectation. Google. That may come back to the roadmap line. That's holding up really well with QQQ kind of flushing. Connell, look for this too. This is leveraged coin. Look for that to pop right down there with Bitcoin. TER. Stuck at that resistance. I had a gap down. Stuck there. We may retrace it back to the roadmap line. Right in here. Before we can pop through and get the target up there. Excuse me, 175 on the target. Google, like I said, it's holding up really well in the face of a larger correction, but we can easily come right back down there if QQQ starts a bigger correction. NASDAQ. NGG, sideways chop. National Grid, just be careful on that one. SMCX. Yeah, be careful. SMCI is probably going lower than this low back here. And this one probably falling suit over here would be my guess. PLTR, like I said, be careful. Highly likely this flushes back down. That was hype, AI hype. Come back to reality. Nothing goes up forever. Affirm, coming back to the roadmap line. On Simi, look at that, right through the target. Sometimes I get lucky on these. Oh my gosh. Next support down at 50. NTRA. Last but not least. Load, please. Cool. There we go. That, wow. I would expect that to come back to the roadmap line. Hadn't been there since August, but they can just keep grinding higher. I mean, this could push on out the target after that correction. Yeah, we're sitting at the 1448. 200 and 350 above that. So there's the next upside. 200 and 350. All right. Bonus trades. I didn't really load one since it's a weird holiday week and we were closed for 2 days. So I'll probably have something on Monday. Be careful. Come back to see me on Monday.